It's getting to that part of the year where the World Cup is on its way. He's got a Champions League final, he's got an FA Cup final, he's got an FA Cup final. I've got nothing else to live for. So I've roped in the lads because they are good friends of mine to go through the England players that might be in the England squad, and we need to pick our 23-man squad. Who is definitely on the plane and ultimately starting for England in goal? Rory.
Jordan Pickford is starting in goal. Okay. I think that's pretty much a given.
Cool.
Nobody's going to contest that, are they?
No, he does have very short arms, though.
Does he? That is a concern.
He's basically
like a Tyrannosaurus.
I might have a T-Rex in goal, to be honest.
He's won Player of the Year for Everton as well this season.
Come on, though.
So he's definitely. Yeah, well, he's busy, isn't he?
He's in though. Yeah.
He's definitely in our 23-man squad. I think that's pretty easy.
This guy's got to be in.
This guy, yeah.
He's got to be in.
He's got something. He's got something.
Nick
yeah.
Pope.
Well, this is an extra name if you've got it. Nick Pope. You want to check down Nick Pope?
Yeah.
Okay, let's do that.
Yeah.
So is he would be in your squad, Nick Pope. Why?
He's come in for heating, hasn't he, at Burnley, and he's done brilliantly. I know a mate of mine's a York fan as well, York City fan. He played like 20 times on loan there as well a couple of years ago, and he was raving about him back then, and he's come in, he's got a difficult job to do in a side that, you know, is mid-table in the Premier League, and he's come in and he's been absolutely brilliant.
I'll give you my next two, and then you tell me if you've got any problems with him. So the second guy for me is Jack Butland.
Yeah.
He should be. Like, he's been great. Although I've got a mate who's a Stoke City fan, and he said that actually Butland's not had the best of seasons for them. But I think he showed enough to be one of the top three.
Prior to that injury he got against Germany in the friendly, was it before Euro 2016?
Yeah.
I thought he was going to be England's number one. And then since then it was a long road of recovery for him. And he's come back and he's not been as good as he was, but he's still a million times better than this absolute clown.
Well,
and why he's on this, even on this table?
It's funny you say that because Joe Hart is my third goalkeeper. Of course he is. The reason he's my third goalkeeper
I'm interested to hear this.
Is because the third choice goalkeeper is not going to play.
You hope. But why take him then?
Yeah.
Well, what's your gain from taking Joe Hart?
I'll tell you why. Because say Pickford gets injured, okay, Butland comes in and he's the first choice goalkeeper. Say he then gets injured. That third choice goalkeeper having to come in, I'd rather have someone who's got the experience of Joe Hart, despite how awful he's been.
Define experience.
Yeah, I don't know. When you look at someone like Nick Pope, right, he's actually got experience of coming in for somebody. That should play in itself as well. You know, coming into a side when you're not the number one and being able to perform as a big
not to this intensity. He's hidden away at Burnley.
Yeah, but Joe Hart coming into that England squad as third choice keeper, then has to step up, let's say, and play. What does his confidence feel like? This is a guy who should probably be England's number one, but he's not performed. Whereas what you've got is you've got a young, hungry player in Pope who wants to step in and fill that void. Joe Hart comes in, his confidence shattered. He's the third choice goalkeeper. How does he then perform?
Do you need somebody with Joe Hart's experience, with Joe Hart's know-how?
And he is known as a leader, isn't he?
Do you need someone like Joe Hart in the changing room? Maybe not on the pitch, but do you need him in the changing room?
Yeah.
Rayner always did well for Spain in that regard, you know, like the cheerleader, but also he's been there and done it and stuff. So
yeah, and I think he's mature enough to deal with it.
I just don't understand how someone like Joe Hart can be a motivating player. Like, he was sent away on loan from Man City because they didn't want him. West Ham fans, they despise him because he's had such an atrocious season. Why would that player motivate anybody?
I'm not saying they shouldn't need motivating, but I think it's about someone who's like been there and done it. If Pickford makes a mistake or whatever, there's a guy who's been there and done it who can go, look, it's all right.
I've got a case to make, and I don't know how this one's going to go down. And I think this is what I would do. I think we concede that the third choice keeper is probably not going to play, not a minute. He's not going to get a kick. So you take your two strongest keepers, and then what you do is you take this man, Freddie Woodman. He is a penalty-saving expert, and you take him simply so that if the game goes to penalties, you bring him on with a minute to go at the end of extra time.
So he's your sub-keeper?
Yes. You do. Do you remember what the Dutch did with Tim Krul?
Yeah.
You bring him on, you bring on a penalty-saving expert. The third keeper is not going to play. Some keepers are better at other things. I mean, like, for example, Thibaut Courtois is the best goalkeeper at Chelsea, but Willy Caballero is definitely the best penalty-saving goalkeeper at Chelsea. Each goalkeeper has assets and different facets to its character, and Woodman's speciality happens to be penalty saves. England
could do with that.
Yeah,
fair point.
We're going out on pens, probably. Yeah. So yeah.
But it would be a lovely luxury to have, wouldn't it? If we were lucky enough to progress through the group, play Senegal in St. Petersburg is what I've kind of worked it out to be. If that game were to finish 1-1, 2 minutes before the end, you know it's going to penalties. You can bring on this expert. That's going to have an impact on the players taking the penalties and hopefully go through it.
It doesn't really matter.
Third choice. I'm going Joe Hart. Anyone else? Nobody?
I'm not going Joe Hart.
Really? Okay, Fraser Forster, no one. Ben Foster.
Quite like Fraser Forster.
So it's down to these two. Freddie Woodman. You're not going to vote for Freddie Woodman?
I'm gonna. I was just really thinking about it. Yeah, I'm gonna go with Freddie Woodman. I think it's worth a risk.
I'm going Nick Pope.
Nick Pope for me.
So it's Pope.
Nick Pope. Let's start with right backs though, and what we'll do is we'll take players out instead of putting them in at this stage.
Right.
Okay.
So right backs, you've got Klein, you've got Trent Alexander-Arnold, you've got Kyle Walker, you've got Trippier.
I think
you can pick two.
You said four quite good players. The one that I would say we take out relatively quickly and easily for me would be Trippier.
Klein, I
take out.
Take out.
See, Trippier's in my squad.
He's in my team.
Yeah, he's in my team as well.
Squad. Like, I would be looking at Nathaniel Klein and going, I rate Nathaniel Klein. I think he's a really good player, like, but he's just not played enough football this season. Yeah, and you know, we played the weekend against you, didn't he, against Chelsea and stuff, and his touch is just not there yet, and it's a big risk if you're taking someone who hasn't played for a year and had a handful of sub appearances and 1 start, 2 starts this season.
Had he been there all year, I think he might be starting ahead of Walker, but I just wouldn't take him.
And if he'd been fit all year, we wouldn't have seen as much of him. Is that right?
No, that's it. Like, and here's the difference. You know, Trent's looked good in a 4 at the back. Now, you're probably not playing him as right centre back. He's not looked great when we have switched him to wing back, but then it's a completely different position. He's a 19-year-old lad, so I probably wouldn't be taking Trent, although I think he's got the quality to be able to be an England starter.
No, he's got to go.
Yeah, absolutely.
He has to go.
In a squad that has very few reasons to get excited, he's quite an exciting player to watch.
Over Alexander-Arnold.
I think you do.
You can't.
I think Walker and Trippier, they know each other very well. In the formation that I want to play, I actually want to play Walker as a right-sided centre back. Really? But you can move it around and it will allow.
So you seen Walker then in a position that he hasn't played for his club all season?
He played against Holland in that position, and he played really well.
No, but it's an interesting point because I've got Walker in exactly the same place, because what happens is those centre-halves get left in a lot of space, so you want someone who's comfortable over against the chicken winger in the sort of right-back position.
Isn't the brilliance of Kyle Walker just his motor, the fact that he goes up and down that wing superbly for 90 minutes at an incredible rate?
Yeah.
Isn't that what makes him so good?
It is.
So if
look
you
at the
centre-half...
Look at the centre-halves, mate.
Yeah, but
who are you having in space?
I agree that we're not blessed in the centre-half position, but as soon as you put Walker there, you're probably losing his brilliance on the wing and then putting him in a position where he's not going to excel anyway. Like, that's not where he shines.
But I think as a right-sided centre-back, I think he has got everything you want, because opposition teams will be concerned with him getting the ball in terms of him driving out. But
you can't go if there's a
But in terms of defending, if it's a ball over the top, he's fine. He's tall enough if it's going to be a ball in the air, which is not going to happen that much, I don't think. I thought he was great against Holland in that position. I think he'd be great for us.
One of the most frustrating things about some of the poor managers that England have had over the years is when they take a player who has done very well for his club in a particular position and ask him to rejuvenate himself and his game for international football. You just think you're going to have him for a month. You're going to be able to train with him for a month, and you're not going to be able to teach him to play a new position expertly. He is one of the best right backs, full backs in the league. I think we're crazy to try and manoeuvre him.
Well, when we
have a really good option as well as cover for him. I don't know what we're doing. It's mental.
The Trent thing, like, listen, if I was a Liverpool fan, I'd be saying, get him on the plane. But as a Liverpool fan, I know how much football he's played this season. It's a lot of football. And then you're asking a 19-year-old lad to go straight from a Champions League final, and he's probably starting in that after a huge amount of games over the last 3 months, to then go and extend this season. We've seen young lads need taken in out of the firing line. We've had Joe Gomez injured this season. He's had to play a lot of football. So for me...
Are you protecting him from
a
Liverpool perspective?
Absolutely, I'm protecting him. He's a 19-year-old lad.
I'm not protecting him. I think Trippier's had a great season for Spurs. He's come in and had to replace Kyle Walker and done really well in that position. I think it gives you another threat by playing those two together. But you could also play 4 at the back, and then Kyle Walker is your right back. So I would get rid of these two.
I mean, I think that one's a given.
Yeah.
We all agree on that. But
I agree with that.
I really want him on the plane, but we can't have 3 right backs.
I don't think that England are blessed enough. I don't think we have a good enough squad to turn our nose up at a player who has had the season that Alexander-Arnold has had. We aren't good enough to look at a player like that, a player who has come into a Liverpool team that is vibrant and young and exciting and daring, and ignore him? How can England look around?
But do you know what also look at this team. Look at the team that's going to start. Say you play Trippier. Trippier's going to play alongside probably Eric Dyer, probably Dele Alli, probably Harry Kane. These are all players that he's played with as well. Kyle Walker to the left of him, quite possibly. Danny Rose, quite possibly to the left-hand side. These are all players that he's used to playing with. Spursy. That's going to help.
I don't know if it's going to help. When did Tottenham last win a trophy?
I mean, not needed on this video.
But I knew it was coming, though.
I feel quite strongly that Trippier should go, and I think it's just because he's not as glamorous that you want Trent Alexander, and the fact that he's young. Yeah, because I tell you what, he's had a tough game against Roma the other day. Like, there's been games where it's not totally gone right because he's 19 years old.
Yeah, but I wouldn't pick the 10% he's done wrong. I would look at the 90% he's done wrong.
I'm going to concede this one to Chris. I think Chris is the man who knows this man inside out.
I'm being selfish.
It's nearly there, Chris. Just go with it.
If Chris comes from an England perspective and he's completely genuine,
he's on the plane.
He's on the plane.
No, he's not on the plane.
There you go. Thank you.
He's doing his Jedi mind tricks again.
He can be
democracy.
He can be a difference maker if he's needed.
Yeah, look, right.
That's the thing. And not only that, you're covering right back, you're covering right wing back, and potentially you're covering centre mid.
Agreed.
I disagree. Right, left back.
Whoa! Hang on a minute. No. You're taking two right backs because you're taking all three of them because he can cover centre half and right back. I think all three of them probably have to make the plane.
Are you going to? But you're never going to use all three.
Why not?
You're never going to use all three.
If he's your centre back, you say he's a centre back. I say he's a centre back. There's your two right backs.
Yeah. Right. So I reckon you could take. Say we're going to play 3-5-2, which I think a lot of people think that we might do. You're going to take 8 defenders, maybe 9 defenders actually. Right. So let's get rid of some others.
I'll get rid of Gary Cahill straight away. He's had an abysmal season. He'll leave Chelsea this summer. He's been a wonderful servant to the club. I love him. Thank you so much. he won the league. He won the Champions League within 6 months of signing for the club and the FA Cup. He's been great, but it's over. The dream's over. He's not on that plane.
See you later, mate.
It's over.
Right, he was in your squad though.
No, I'm taking him out now.
Yeah, I think he's finished. Wasn't in my squad.
Right, take him out. Right. Look, I think I like the kid, Luke Shaw, but it's just if you're looking at a player who hasn't played much this season, and that's the reason you're taking Nathaniel Klein out. Luke Shaw's hardly played at all, and he's been fit as well at points, but Mourinho's fell out with him.
Michael Keane.
Not
I don't think he's impressed enough since his move from Everton. And
he played all right against Germany, but I think there are better people.
I'd say Alfie Mawson. If we're going to be quite cutthroat, we can get rid of Alfie Mawson.
And Jamal Lascelles as well. Listen, he's had a good season at Newcastle.
A lot of people talking about Jamal Lascelles.
They can talk all they want. He's not getting on this plane, mate.
Let's talk about left backs. Delph, Rose, Ashley Young, Cresswell, and Bertrand. The two that are best in terms of their stats this season are these two.
Stats are irrelevant.
Stats are irrelevant. Right. Well, then QPR will be a better team.
Stats are irrelevant because the thing that I hate about these stats is they only tell half the story. How do you quantify heart? How do you quantify passion? How do you quantify effort?
So you've got to go another thing.
You can't. You can't do that, and that's why somebody like Ryan Bertrand, although his stats may not be great, of course he's a better player than Fabian Delph in that position. So of course he is.
As we're trying to get rid of people, right? These have been the two that Southgate has picked time and time again, right? So is Cresswell? It's not for him.
I like Cresswell. I think he's a great player. I think he's just going to be a little bit unfortunate this summer in that there's 2 lads that Southgate prefers ahead of him.
Stats aside, I can confirm that Ashley Young should not be starting at left back for England. You know, he's done a job at Man United, but that's what he's done. But Ashley Young is not a left back. What you need, and that's why someone like Kyle Walker's so good. He overlaps on the right-hand side. The modern-day fullback has to overlap and offer the winger some space, and it gives the winger more space to run inside. Young won't do that, and if he does do it, he'll be shagged. He won't get back.
But you say that.
Is that because of Mourinho's tactics, though? That he doesn't commit players forward so often?
No, it's because
he has been a winger, but he's been a winger his whole career.
Yeah, I know that, but he's a cut-inside winger. He's not an overlapping winger. He'll always naturally cut inside, and that's what Ashley Young does. And he'll do a job, be like a 6 out of 10 player. I don't think he'll be anything less than that.
He'll be perfect.
I don't know. For that reason, Southgate will probably play it safe and maybe will start him.
I think it has to be the players who are most natural to play in that position, and they are Danny Rose and Ryan Bertrand. They're both natural fullbacks who have had very good seasons over the past, say, you know, if you look at their cumulative seasons over the past 3 years, they've both had very, very impressive runs in their sides, and I think they both should go. I would start Ryan Bertrand.
Yeah, same here.
I would start Ryan Bertrand. I think that going back to what I said on the other side, you want Kyle Walker on the other side for me because it's what he does. He's so natural in that position. He's so good. He's so adventurous. He's so disciplined at the back. And I would say every word that I've just said about Kyle Walker, I would say Ryan Bertrand possesses in abundance.
I had Bertrand in my squad. I had Danny Rose in my squad.
Yeah.
So we're losing these two.
I had Danny Rose, I had Bertrand, and I did have Young as well.
For a bit of flexibility.
I mean, obviously this is the squad we're choosing. I think Southgate will take both of those. And if you're looking, you know, the reason.
So who do you think is going to miss
the reason
out?
you were arguing about Joe Hart about experience, we're looking at two players here who genuinely can add quite a bit of experience, and the fact that Delph's a utility player and can play in more than one position, he's a safer bet.
Danny Rose is the most talented player here.
Yeah.
I think by a country mile. He's got the highest ceiling by a country mile, but he's just not performed so well this
Last season when Kyle Walker wasn't playing games, do you really think England still wouldn't have taken him because he wanted to go? And that's what's happening with him, in my opinion. He's better than Ben Davies. He is better than Ben Davies. He's not maybe not sensible. He's a bit more, but he's more.
Well, he's kind of fallen out
explosive,
of
more
Pochettino
exciting
as well, which hasn't really helped him.
Yeah. I would take these two.
So what are we agreeing on?
I think I agree with
So
James.
Ashley Young, no.
I agree with James.
If we're taking two of them, I think Bertrand and Rose are probably the guys.
Okay. We'll agree.
Right. I'm going to put these two in case we've got some space at the end. You never know. Okay. Right, centre backs. This could get tasty.
Okay, I'll tell you what.
Cahill's gone.
Okay. I'm going to throw Harry Maguire in. I think he's been brilliant. I think he's had a great season. I'm going to throw John Stones in. I know he's not, you know, probably performed at the level that he'd want to perform, but from a bad bunch there, I think he's absolutely starting. And I'm going to throw Eric Dyer in as well because he's a bit of a utility player. And then I'm probably looking around at Tarkowski and maybe considering him or Jones.
Okay. I would not want to see him playing centre back at any point.
No. You will.
You will.
I don't think 100% Eric Dyer will play centre back for England at the World Cup.
But he definitely is on the plane.
He's on the plane.
He's on the plane.
Talk to me about Smalling.
It doesn't really. He's not liked by Southgate.
Southgate don't like him.
And it really.
All Man United fans.
It's so weird with Chris Smalling.
Anyone.
That man Dave thinks it's ridiculous that he's not going to be on the plane.
Well, no. What you've got Lovren. You're mentioning Cahill there, a centre back who, on his day, is very, very good, but is capable of an absolute clanger. He's played better in the last 3 months of the season. He was crap for the starting six, but he's been a lot better. So if you're looking at players on form, he's on a lot better form than Phil Jones, who I would say has had probably a better overall season for United. But on form, Smalling's the better of the two if you're choosing one.
I want to see me two right backs, me two left backs, and then these are me three starting centre halves probably in Walker, Stones and Maguire, because I just don't feel like the rest are quite good enough. And then you've got to pick one from these guys. I don't like Smalling, I don't like Jones's face, which means Tarkowski's the guy for me.
Jones is the guy for me. It's a risk if you take him because these two have been there and done it, and with that comes the battle scars and the sort of feelings from fans that they're not good enough. But I think generally, he, dare I say it, he doesn't really let you down, does he, Phil Jones?
I think we've got to
Sam, I
defer
think
to
it's
the
on you,
man who
mate.
watches him play every week. If you're going to pick one of Tarkowski,
Does anyone
Smalling,
desperately want
Jones,
Tarkowski?
No. If you're looking at a system here, we're building this towards a 5-3-2 where there will be space alongside the centre-backs. Okay. And if he's just played a whole season of playing really
exactly.
Hang on a minute. So
out.
you're telling me Jones wasn't playing a similar system to Tarkowski?
But Jones is playing.
You play Man United, play expressive football where the full-back bomb on. What a load of crap! What a load of crap! He parked the bus.
And we really don't.
And except the difference is he's got better players in front of him to do it.
No, but look right.
Jones in space. Yeah, go ahead.
It's quite a valid point.
I know it's a valid point, but you could say a valid point for all three. So he's
gone. Make it cool then. So one of these two.
Smalling.
He's just gone completely left wing.
On form. Going into, I don't particularly like. Smalling will be sold by United this summer. If I'm going to keep one of these two as a United player, I'm keeping Jones. Who am I taking?
So you're taking Jones then, aren't you?
No, but I would take Smalling. He's more reliable. Look.
Why did we bow to Sam?
Look, if you're looking at form, I fucking watch this guy week in, week out. So listen to me for a little bit here. Put it over there.
I can't believe it. Phil Jones. Not
look, right. He shouldn't be starting. I absolutely agree on these. But it's just like, it's three bad
Okay.
choices.
We said we concede to Sam.
Yeah.
The only difference is...
You didn't think you'd go Smalling?
No, we didn't.
I want to pick Jones and then we can move on.
You didn't want to play Kyle Walker as a centre-half, so let's say you're not playing Kyle Walker as a centre-half. Are you happy with that?
No. No.
The one saving grace, possibly, for Phil Jones down the line is there may be space at the end of this. Okay. So let's move on to midfielders.
Okay.
Should we be going into this tournament and just going, this is a bit of a write-off? but we've got players who've won.
Absolutely
Wait,
not.
We've got players who've won tournaments at a younger level who are the future. So Lewis Cook, Jadon Sancho, Foden, players like that, and going, we need to find a way to make space for these guys.
You're Gareth Southgate, and you're going to do that.
Well, Gareth Southgate's been told that he's going to have the next tournament regardless of what happens in this one.
Well, that might be a slight white lie.
You do not use a World Cup. You do not use a World Cup as a training regime. It would be so disrespectful and mate, you can win this. Greece didn't think. Greece didn't think. I'm not saying we will, but I'm saying that stranger things have happened. If you go into it with that mentality, where you basically concede that you're not going to win it,
all I'm saying is, in a squad of 23, there is space for the people that might not be starting, but could come off the bench. Phil Foden's done that a million times for Man City this year, only getting 5 minutes each time generally, but Pep Guardiola obviously sees something in him for him to do that.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
If you're at a World Cup and you need to bring a sub on for 5 minutes, you're really going to be looking at Phil Foden to change the game for you.
He's used to doing it. My point is he's a really exciting player for us.
Absolutely.
He's won a World Cup last summer. These guys are the future.
Well, if they're good enough, then we take them. I think when we have the debate, but you certainly don't say they might be good enough in 4 years. Let's take them now because then it might work out.
Fair enough. Okay, people are definitely on the plane, and we'll look at centre midfield partnerships here. So,
Champions League finalist captain Jordan Henderson on the plane.
Fresh off the back of winning the Champions League, he'll be there.
We're
right?
struggling, aren't we, when that is the first choice you pick out of their
the other guy,
That's disrespectful. He's boss, mate.
Yeah.
Everybody thinks he's crap. He's boss.
What does he do?
I agree with Chris there.
I'm saying, as a midfielder, what type of midfielder is he?
Mate, he's pretty flawless in mid. Like, what doesn't he do? He's good
I'm
at
asking.
everything.
I'm not saying it's disrespectful. I'm asking.
He's not a guy. He's not a guy who's going to throw tackles in, but he can set the tempo of the midfield.
he's on the plane, isn't he?
Yeah.
Yes.
So that's one of your midfielders for me. He doesn't go anywhere near centre back for me. I don't like him there.
Henderson and Dyer. That's a very static midfield.
You're saying Dyer?
No, I'm saying he's in the squad. Does he start? I think it's different games will decide different things. I think also a name on there that I should write down if we can find one of these the spare ones that we've got. It's John Joe Shelvey.
I think the players who play close to the edge, you don't not pick people who do that. You know, some of the greatest football players that we've ever watched play on that edge, play on the brink. One of the best players that I've ever had the privilege of watching play up front for Chelsea was Diego Costa. He was always a Rizzler paper away from...
No, but he was a very controlled man. He knew his madness. Shelvey just gets absorbed by situations.
He does.
Loses his head.
So the reason I would take Shelvey is because in big games, right? In big games against Belgium, right? I think
that's a new low for Gary Cahill now. Like, he thought he'd hit rock bottom, and suddenly that's happened to him on the Bull Street video.
Tough, yeah, that's tough to look at. So I think in the big games against the Belgium teams where you're not going to have the ball much, you maybe do this. And it's a shame we can't get Milner back.
No, that's so unambitious. That's so uninspiring. You can't do that.
But we'll have other players that are going to bring the ball out and do different things, right? But against teams that like Panama and Tunisia, I'd quite like to see him maybe in there because when you've got the ball, he can pick a pass.
Can I throw a curveball in? I agree with you on the Dyer shout. I mean, it's doing me head in that you've put him the wrong way round. There we go, OCD sorted.
I think England's World Cup, if you are to say, and I wouldn't want to put pressure on shoulders like this, but if you were to say this World Cup rests on one man's shoulders, I do honestly believe that it's Dele Alli. Okay. I think if Dele Alli has a good tournament, it will be the Gaza effect of 1990. And if he doesn't have a good tournament, it will be, you know, he'll be the scapegoat the way Raheem Sterling was a couple of years back in France.
One thing we know, look, we're just picking the squad here, aren't we? These two are on. Let's talk about this guy.
Yes. He's on the plane.
On the plane, right? I think that's
absolutely on the plane.
We had this conversation about Euro 2016. Do you remember? Obviously 2 years ago, and he was the hot topic because he hadn't played football, but he was fit now. What's great this year is that he's played a lot of football. I think you need to try and find. I don't think we're going to play the same team every time, and I think we should change it a lot. And I think he has a massive part to play for us, especially in midfield.
Jack Wilshere's too good a footballer to not make the plane.
Because I think you could do that as well. Yeah. Sometimes you could do those three, him in front. I mean, in that kind of vein of, right, he's fit and he's playing, unfortunately that means he's nowhere near, right?
Yeah, Harry Winks nowhere near.
No.
Yeah.
There's only one other name on there that I would 100% take, and that is Raheem Sterling.
Of course,
yes.
Yeah.
I mean, he's on the plane.
Yeah,
and
without a debate. Yeah.
And just,
you know, with the greatest of respect, I think he's the guy. Raheem Sterling has a lot of chances, he scores a lot of goals. That's absolutely fine. You're not talking, no striker in this squad is getting 50% conversion rates. It doesn't happen. Yeah. The media focus on Raheem Sterling because he's English.
Yeah.
That is why.
Yeah.
He's got the same conversion percentage as Aguero, who we think is one of the best strikers in the world, by the way, and who is.
Yeah. It's a good point. Fair enough. Let's get rid of a few.
Foden, Livermore, Chalobah.
I don't think these two should be there. I don't think Livermore's, obviously hasn't done it. Cork's had a good season, but
you juggle it. You juggle it in a different way. Dyer gets injured. Henderson plays slightly deeper, and you bring on Ruben Loftus-Cheek to play in that. Like you don't have to have a like for like. You can amend things.
He has to be on the plane.
Of course, Lingard's on the plane. I mean, he has been so improved this season. You're looking at player. He's like Sterling, but to a lesser degree. He's not as quality as Sterling is, but he scored plenty of goals. Really important goals for United this season. Arsenal away, or Chelsea at home. I think he's on 13 goals this season.
He scores in massive games. Every time I watch United play at Wembley, he seems to pop up.
He scored every single time he's played at Wembley, I think.
He's
apart
from,
the Spurs game recently. Yeah. But Lingard is a player who has scored a lot this season. He will miss some chances, and that will frustrate people, and people will say that as a reason to criticise him, but you definitely want him on the plane.
I think what's great with these four is you've got something different in each of these. So it's about what do we still need. I think I really like him, and he was in my squad, but I think he can kind of do the passing of him.
Yeah.
I think he's really exciting. These two are the kind of future. But I rightly or wrongly, I feel like he deserves the opportunity to be on the plane.
He was England's Player of the Year last year, wasn't he?
Yeah.
You know, he was superb and instrumental in implementing Southgate's system last season.
It'd be a very risky choice.
Yeah, it would.
I like the idea of a wild card.
He's got time to get fit properly as well.
No, you don't.
Yes, you've got warm-up games.
No, there's nothing can prepare you for World Cup football, like competitive games. This is the problem.
I think there's enough time
you're right.
to be fit. Fine.
Not fit, yes. Yeah. Match fit, no.
I think he's never going to start. I don't think he'll start.
90 minutes.
So anyway, that would be my pick. Who else says Lallana?
I think it depends if you take Delph in defence as well, because if Delph can operate as another central midfield cover, then you won't need someone like Loftus-Cheek in the team.
I think we leave him to the side for now, and we see how many we've got, and then maybe he gets in there.
All right, let's do strikers. Right, we've got 18 names down. We're taking 5 or 4?
4.
4, which means there's going to be 1 spot left at the end of all of this.
Any team that's got Harry Kane in, you've got your focal point. You're talking about maybe it's Ali who's the man, maybe it's Raheem Sterling. Harry Kane has the opportunity. He's had such a good season with Spurs. He's consistently done it.
Yeah, let's not bore people.
He's consistently done it.
He's in.
Kane's in. And do you know what? On the same logic, with that, if we're just going to go for it without boring people, Vardy's in.
Yeah.
Vardy's in.
So then by that same logic, Rashford's in.
Yeah,
I do agree. Actually.
Yep, just about.
So I'm looking at Welbeck and thinking, there's a guy who can work hard for the team if you need him to.
Welbeck's my 4th as well.
Yeah, I'd be looking at Welbeck, and everybody else can sod off.
I'm not sure about.
I just want to hear James embarrass himself for 30 seconds.
Happily, right? Andrew Carroll. Okay. The only reason this is tournament football.
Yeah.
Okay. Man City against Liverpool when they needed all those goals, right? They couldn't go through you, couldn't go round you. Then they started putting crosses into the box. Didn't have anyone up there to do anything, right? Man United against Arsenal the other week. Couldn't really get through Arsenal. What did you do?
Fellaini.
You put Fellaini on. Fellaini. Depending on how you feel about him and if you want to go with that Italian twang, right? The reason you take Andy Carroll is because you've got people like Welbeck. You've got people who've got pace and you've got width and you've got all that stuff. But if we can't go through them and we can't go round them, we need to find another way. We go.
So you're going to go into bear hunt then, mate?
Then we have to go slightly above them. And I think for like 10 minutes when you've run out of ideas, I think it's like people think I'm being like ignorant or prehistoric, but I think you're being smart. I think if you're running out of options, these are the guys who are going to play up front, and often we're probably going to play one up front. We might play one up front. So I take him for the last 10 minutes.
Who's crossing the ball to him, James?
Is Ashley Young from right back? We've got Trippier
from centre half.
Trippier is great. Trippier is a great crosser of the ball. Flav was saying doesn't do take-ons. Doesn't have the take-on in 3 years or something. So he puts crosses.
Ryan Bertrand whips a nice ball in.
There you go. I think for 10 minutes at the end, if I'm really honest, I don't think it should be Andy Carroll. I think it should be Matt Smith from QPR because he would win more headers than Andy Carroll. But I think it's worth that as a tactic that you can
Here's the
try.
thing. Broke stays broke. He is never fit.
He's only got to be fit for 10 minutes.
He's fit for 10 minutes, yeah. He's occasionally fit for 10 minutes.
Look, this is ridiculous. because there'll be people out there watching this video now who will agree with you, James, and yous are all wrong. Managers don't do this anymore. Managers want to change things up, inject something very, very similar,
Mourinho
but a little bit different. I said managers, not idiots who run Manchester United. No, look, Fellaini does a little bit more than what Andy Carroll does, because he does it from a little bit of a deeper position as well. He's running from a little bit deeper into those areas, whereas Andy Carroll's your focal point. These teams will be happy to come up against a guy, two big strong centre-halves who just want to head the ball away. That's what they used to.
But what happens in the last 10 minutes of games? In the last 10 minutes of games, you go, right, we need to do something here, and people just put it into the box and hope things are going to happen. If that happens, if you've got someone like Andy Carroll,
if you're managing international football, right, and you are hoping for something to happen, then you're doing something wrong. These lads should be able to work through some of these teams.
I think you're being realistic.
There are moments where hope is, like when Manchester United won the European Cup in '99. That crossed, like there are moments when hope is all you have, and I think that in a World Cup you could end up in a situation where you have no other option but to get the ball to your fullback, hit it into the box, and hope for the best thereafter. And I think that if you ever do find yourself in that position, it's not a great position to be in, of course, but I don't think there's a better man on this table than Andy Carroll for that situation. It's whether you think
he will win headers and he scores headers. I just don't think the rest of the England side set up for him.
I don't think we're not set up nowhere near the starting line.
We're not set up for it at all.
Just if you need him with 5-10 minutes to go.
It's just the ultimate trump card right at the end there. I mean, I'd like to think that with the attackers that we've got, and with Sterling, we could avoid just turning into that for the last 10 minutes.
If you were a defender, if you were a defender or a fan of an opposition, and you are coming up against somebody, 3 minutes to go, you're 1-0 up, and you see a sub happening, who are you more scared of? Danny Welbeck coming on or Andy Carroll coming on?
Because the only other option is you chuck Harry Maguire up.
Who causes if it was me versus any of them, both of them. Because Welbeck had run past me with no problem whatsoever, and Andy Carroll's about 10 foot taller. You know, but I just don't think that that's the way that England should be going. If Southgate wants to implement something, then you've got to believe in what you believe in. And throwing Andy Carroll on for the last 10 minutes a game is going away from what you believe in. I've seen Liverpool sides with Peter Crouch up front, and we're playing nice football, and then we'd introduce Crouchy for the last 10 minutes, and all of a sudden, every centre-half just hoofs the ball, and the game goes to pot, and you just lose it. There's only a few players in world football that you can actually change and get results like this. Mourinho does it with Fellaini. They do it so often, they're used to being able to do it. What are these players who are backing this lad up? None of their teams do that. None of them. None of them have a big guy up front. You know, we've seen Manchester City, we played them in the Champions League quarters, and we essentially said, cross the ball, lads, cross the ball to Jesus, and that's what we wanted to happen. You know, these lads aren't set up for stuff like
but
that.
that's Man City doing that, who know that they haven't got those players, but they got to a point like, what do we do? So if it gets to that point, exactly, and so if everything isn't working, then that's why you do it.
I think as a manager, you need to be as pragmatic as possible and try and visualise every possible eventuality. You need to try and have an answer to every possible situation, which is why I thought taking the penalty-saving expert keeper was a good move, and that is why I think taking Andy Carroll is a good move. It gives you an answer to a question. It might be a question that you don't want to be asked, but you might be asked that question, and you need to have an answer for it.
I think if you sit there and logically think about the choices that Southgate has to make, Carroll or a big man is probably on the plane for that last option.
I don't think he'll do it. I don't think Southgate will do it.
You don't think he'll do it?
No, I don't think he will. I think he'll take Welbeck. I think he will. But that's nothing against Welbeck.
No, you convinced me now.
I think you need a big guy.
I'm winning.
Is he there? We had him in No, but we're not listening to Southgate. We're picking our own squad.
Oh, okay.
So I'm voting Carroll.
I'm voting Carroll.
Come on. I don't know where this is.
Okay, so that's two for Carroll and for Welbeck.
Well, Welbeck was my original choice, but now I'm stuck in between a debate. You've argued your case
Sam,
here.
the Bower is yours again. Solanke nowhere near, right?
No, I'm scored a goal all season.
Defoe, I mean, ditto, kind of, unfortunately.
Just a year too late.
Is Tammy Abraham a big man who's got a little bit more about him? Or is he just too lanky?
If you want a big man, the one outstanding big man on the table is Andy Carroll.
Yeah, exactly. If
you want a big man, if you're going to do it, you go for the best option.
Yeah.
Andy, well done, boy. There you go.
Ridiculous.
Yeah, mad. The only other thing is, this guy's going to be unbelievable in 2 years. Do you just take him?
No, not for that. If that's the logic, no.
What, ask Theo Walcott.
Oh, wowza. So we've only got 4 there, which means we have 1 space left. Okay, so there it is in all its wonder. Hang on a minute, there's one spot left.
Oh,
There is.
What we're going to do is we're all going to put forward the person that we think should be the 23rd man on the plane for England at the World Cup. You guys are going to decide via a poll card. I will go first. Glowing after my Andy Carroll win there. Well, please. Did a Chris.
You got good at this.
Yeah, I know. I've been studying your old tapes. I'm going for Lewis Cook. The reason I'm going for Lewis Cook is that he's played 20-odd games for Bournemouth this season. They've had a good second half of the season. He's been a big part of that. I think in terms of defensive midfield, I worry a little bit. We've got a few players that are quite flexible, and that's good, but I think the place where I feel like we might need a bit of help is in defensive midfield. He's also quite tenacious as well, so I don't think he's not totally just going to dig a hole. And I think he'd be good. And he's also one for the future, I think, for England as well. So I would put forward Lewis Cook.
Fair. I've gone for Ruben Loftus-Cheek, and I think that the reason he needs to be on this plane is because it should be a meritocracy, and he has played so well this season. I think if you were to pinpoint one reason why Crystal Palace have remained in the Premier League so convincingly, he'd be that reason. Not for the purposes of this video.
Zaha should be playing for England.
Yeah, I know, we messed up on that.
Ruben Loftus-Cheek has been playing incredibly well, and I think that he offers something that this squad currently doesn't have. He can play in a variety of positions as well. If we need something going forward, he can be that man. Equally, if we need to sit back and somebody to do a bit of donkey work defending, he's very good at that. Should be on the plane.
Like, if you're looking at the 23rd man, this is somebody like Fabian Delph who just plugs some holes.
I can see that hurt you.
I agree with you on Andy Carroll. I conceded to you on Jordan Henderson. Now I'm saying Fabian Delph's in my squad. But, you know, he has played quite a lot for City this season, and he turned into... He's actually young. You didn't expect it to be as good as he was. I don't think he'll be as good as that for England, but if you're looking at a 23rd man, it's not because he's in the starting 11, because he's wonderful. He will just be there to plug a hole. If we get an injury somewhere, Fabian Delph might be able to come in. It's not glamorous, it's not luxurious, but it just makes sense.
Yeah, for me, I've gone for Danny Welbeck. I think I look at it and I look at the striking options, and I'm probably playing a front three of Harry Kane, Raheem Sterling and Marcus Rashford, and I want somebody who can inject that little bit of pace and that tenacity and maybe later in games. And I just think he's a good player. He works incredibly hard for the team, and he's done it at two big clubs, and I think he'd be absolutely in his comfort zone playing at the World Cup.
Okay, there you have it, 23rd man. You decide. Click on the poll card right now and choose between one of these four. Let us know your thoughts on our England squad and how do you think England are going to do in the World Cup. Try and be positive if you can. If you enjoyed this video, then click that like button, subscribe to Ball Street, and we will see you very soon.